Hello, I'm Susan Woods, and I've been a nonprofit consultant since 2003. I help people start and reinstate 501c3 nonprofit organizations. I also offer in-person and online classes. Today, I am asking for people who are interested in enhancing their communities through nonprofit organizations to take advantage of the customized services that I provide. Once again, I'm inviting you to take advantage of the customized Form 1023 application completion services that I provide for my clients to help them earn 501c3 nonprofit status in order to enhance their communities. So if that's you, please listen to this video message. I've been helping people start and reinstate 501c3 nonprofit organizations specifically since 2010, although I've been in the business since 2003. I take pride in my work. I'm very methodical. I use the Form 1023 application for recognition of exemption, the long version, to complete for my clients. The long version of the Form 1023 requires us to perform tasks that are not required for the Form 1023-EZ. And I would explain why I would never use the Form 1023-EZ to help my clients earn 501c3 status later on in this presentation. But first, I want to let you know why you should choose my services to earn 501c3 nonprofit status. I know the competition is very fierce in this space, in this field. I get that. Nevertheless, I place my services alongside anyone else's. That includes LegalZoom, that includes any other major company that offers services like what I offer, that includes any consultant, any lawyer, any accountant. I place my services right alongside theirs or above. And that's not being boastful. That's a matter of fact. And I'll tell you why. I never accept a client without having a consultation with them. My consultations are mandatory because they give me an opportunity to listen to a person explain why they want to start a nonprofit organization. Their explanation tells me so much about them, their true intentions, and the problems they want to solve in the community. The consultation also gives me an opportunity to explain to them what I offer. And then during our consultation, we both decide whether or not we want to move on together. If we want to collaborate on completing the Form 1023 in order for them to earn 501c3 nonprofit status. So it's mandatory. So let's say that we both agree, hey, this would be a good fit for both of us. Let's move forward. My fee is $1,500 to complete the Form 1023 application. And that does not include the IRS's fee of $600 or the Secretary of State's fee, whatever it is, to file the Articles of Incorporation, because that fee varies among the 50 states. But I'll get back to fees in a little bit. I want to tell you why my fee is $1,500. And when I explain to you why it's $1,500, you're going to say that's not enough. You're going to say, Susan, you do not charge enough. I promise you that. So listen. Again, after we decide to move forward, after the consultation, the first thing I would do, I would send you a timeline. And the timeline will list the dates in which you can expect to receive documents from me, the documents that are required for the Form 1023, for you to read and the date in which I would like your feedback on those documents. The Form 1023 is a comprehensive application. It includes over 40 pages, but you may not need all of those pages. But it also includes the requirement to attach what's called supplemental responses. I call them attachments. So let me tell you what they are, because these are the documents or attachments or supplemental responses that I'm going to create or acquire for you. The first document that I will acquire for you is the employer identification number letter. We will have to get an EIN, employer identification number, for your nonprofit organization, for a nonprofit. Some people already have an EIN for other things. We can't use that one unless it's for the nonprofit that you want to start. So that's the first document that I will get for you or acquire for you. I will go online to the irs.gov website and I will complete the application that will create a 9-digit employer identification number for your nonprofit organization or EIN. That's number one. Number two, I will complete the application to file your articles of incorporation with the Secretary of State's office in whatever state you plan to operate your nonprofit. There are 50 states, as you know. So that requires me to do some research, find the state in which you plan to operate Secretary of State's office online, find the link or the location where the application to complete the articles of incorporation is housed or stored, and complete it for you to get the articles filed, because we have to have a filed copy of the articles of incorporation to include with the Form 1023. Now that's a state level document. That's not a federal level document, that's a state level document. My contract stipulates that I complete the Form 1023 for you. That's the federal level, IRS level document to earn 501c3 status. Nevertheless, I will go the extra mile to complete the application to file the articles, because I would rather do that. I just want to do it, okay? I want to make sure that your articles are filed correctly, because they have to reflect what's in your Form 1023 application. So the easiest way to do that is for me to do it for you, even though it's a state level task. That's number two. Number three, the bylaws. Now we're getting to the documents that I create from scratch, the customized documents that I create for your particular organization. The bylaws is the first one. The bylaws is the governing body, the governing document for your nonprofit organization. It spells out how you're going to hold meetings, the board of directors positions and responsibilities, the indemnification clause, the asset dissolution clause. Several clauses are in the bylaws. I will send them to you on the date that's listed on the timeline that I sent. And then I will ask you to send me your feedback for the bylaws in 2 days. There's a 2-day turnaround for each document that I send to you. One thing that I know I need every client to send to me to put into the bylaws is a list of the board of directors, their names, addresses, and phone numbers. The IRS requires that in your bylaws. So that's the third document. We're talking about the documents that are going to be attached to your Form 1023. That's document number 3. We already talked about the EIN. We already talked about the file articles of incorporation. We've already talked about the bylaws. The fourth document that's going to be included with your Form 1023 is a document called Your Activities. Now, this document is the second one that I create from scratch, okay? Your activities document is the heart of your application. This is the one that tells the IRS what you have done in the past pertaining to the services you want to offer in the community, what you are presently doing pertaining to that service, and what you plan to do pertaining to that service. And the planned activities section is the longest section in your activities document because it tells the IRS what you plan to do in the community pending approval of 501c3 nonprofit status. Now, some people say, well, I haven't done anything yet. I haven't offered anything in the past. I'm not presently offering anything. I plan to create an after-school program for children. That's what I plan to do. That's fine. We'll just indicate, or I'll just indicate in your activities document that you haven't done anything in the past. You are not presently doing anything, but you are planning to do this, and we will spell it out. That's what I do. I spell it out. Okay, not just an after-school program. That's not enough. We have to tell the IRS exactly what you want to do through that after-school program. What age range of students are you going to serve? How many students are you going to serve? What time range are you going to have the after-school program open? Okay. What services are you going to provide? Are you going to provide them a hot afternoon meal? Are you going to have tutoring classes to teach them reading, math? We have to go into all of that. How many tutors are you going to have on staff? Are you going to have any type of physical games that they can go outside and play? We're going to paint a picture. That's what I do. I paint a picture of the activities you want the IRS to approve for 501c3 status. That's your activities document. I go into great detail in that document because, like I said, it's the heart. Because it answers the question, why should you earn 501c3 status? The fifth document, and I'm explaining these documents in the order in which they appear in your application packet. So the reason that I'm listing them this way is because they build on each other. For example, this fifth document is called the financial data report. I can't create the financial data report if I haven't already created your activities, because I rely on your activities to determine what goes into the financial data. Let's go back. I explained in the example that you wanted to, or let's say a client wanted to offer an after-school program. And I said, it has to spell out exactly what you need. The time of the day, the days you're going to have it, how many students you're going to have, how many tutors you're going to have, what they're going to do. Well, now the financial data, I start with the expenses section and I brainstorm and I list everything that you would need for your activities to happen, for the planned activities. So I would write down rental fees for location. I would write down if we're going to need books, pens, pencils, paper, calculators, everything I could think of, I write it down. And then how many humans? How many human beings do you need? How many tutors do you need? Well, they need to be paid. So I use the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS.gov, as my resource to get salaries. And then when I list everything that's needed, I list how many is needed. How do you determine how many is needed? Well, if I say I'm going to have 25 kids, well, I'm going to need 25, whatever it is, notebooks or calculators or whatever. And then I'm going to research and find out how much each unit or each item costs and multiply that by 25. That'll give me the total amount for that unit. And then I add everything all up together and place in the financial data report in the correct locations. So let's say that at the end, we come up with $75,000 is how much you need in expenses. That's the expenses section that's spelled out, supplies, equipment, human beings, all of that spelled out, and it equals $75,000 in the expenses section. Now, as you may have guessed, there are two parts to a financial data report. The top part are revenues. Now we're going to have to determine, okay, if we have $75,000 in expenses that we have documented, how are we going to get $75,000? See, the IRS wants to know, how are you planning to raise this money? You see, the IRS's job is to give you the status, to award you the 501c3 status in order to be able to get money. So we need to let them know how much money we need and how we project. This is a projection. This is a projection. How we project that we're going to get the money. You have categories. You have grants, you have fundraising, you have donations, you have whether or not people are going to pay like tuition to come to the program. There's several categories. And what I do based on my conversation with my client and based on a survey my client completed for me to give me more background information about them and what they want to do, I can kind of figure out how to plug in the revenues. For example, I may say, based on this client's conversation, they are able to generate $50,000 just from grants. And the other $25,000 they'll probably get from donations. And that's what I would put in the revenue section for projections. That's the financial data report, everybody. That's what I create. We have to create projections for the first year, second year, and third year. After the financial data report, document number 6 will be the fundraising activities. The fundraising activities document just spells out how you plan to raise the money. Now, do you see why we have to create these documents, or why I create these documents in the sequence that I'm listing? Now I'm going back to the financial data report to create the fundraising activities document, because I need to say, okay, what percentage of revenues are going to be generated from grants? What percentage of revenues are going to be generated from donations or investments? And we have to put those percentages in the fundraising activities document so that the IRS can see, okay, we could expect for them to project that they generate a certain amount, a certain percentage in grant funding and so forth. And I would put a pie chart in there because, think about this. The IRS exemption specialists read Form 1023 applications all day, every day. So what set my applications apart is the visual appeal. So instead of just putting hard data in, sometimes I put a pie chart just to show them in colors, different colors, the breakdown of how revenues are generated, are projected to be generated. In my documents, let me come back to that. I'm jumping ahead. When I explain the last one, then I'll come back and tell you how my documents look. The 7th document that I create for my clients is called a conflict of interest policy. And I use the IRS guidelines to the T to write that document because it's 4 pages. But in a nutshell, you're telling the IRS, I pledge with my hand raised that I'm going to use this nonprofit to enhance the community. Even though in the financial data report, I never submit a financial data report without salaries for the people who are going to operate this nonprofit. I don't do that because I know burnout is real. But when you have a salary, you can sustain yourself to move forward. But the conflict of interest policy just says, we're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing this to help the community, although we're going to get a salary. That's perfectly fine. And like I said, I use the IRS's content verbatim, copy paste. It's exactly what the IRS has on its own website of how conflict of interest policy should be written. So I've given you the 7 documents that I either acquire or create from scratch for you to go into or attach along with the Form 1023. So before I get into the Form 1023, I want to review all of the documents again, list them again. I want to tell you about the visual appeal of the last 5, and then I'm going to jump into talking about the Form 1023. Thank you for staying with me so far. I know I talk fast. I'm so passionate about this work. I've been doing it since 2010. I've done over 400 application packets. My approval rating is 100%. And I mean, that means every client that has hired me has been approved by the IRS 100%. And what I'm trying to convey in this video is why I have 100% approval rating and why I would put my work, my quality of applications up against anyone. company, person, doesn't matter. I'm right there with them. Now, as a recap of the documents, I will acquire the employer identification number letter or EIN letter. I will complete the application to file the articles of incorporation so that you can get a file that has to have it stamped, has to be stamped. The application has to be stamped, filed on a certain date, approved articles, because they have to go in the application of Form 1023. I complete that process for you. So those are the 2 documents that I acquire. Now let's talk about the 5 documents that I create from scratch, customized using your feedback. The bylaws, your activities document, the financial data report, the fundraising activities document, and the conflict of interest policy. Those documents are yours. I create them from scratch for your nonprofit. And then I send them to you. I don't just do them and say, okay, I've done them. No, I send them to you. I send you the document in email. I send an email in the subject line that says, for review and feedback, bylaws -draft 1. I send them to you. You read the bylaws, you give me feedback, I make the changes, I send you another email for review and feedback, bylaws -draft 2. You look at it again, you say, ooh, I still see something that needs to be changed, send them back to me. I do 3 drafts and no additional charge of all 5 documents. 3 drafts of all 5 documents. That means I may have to do 15 drafts. Tell me another consultant that would do 15 drafts for $1,500. I want you to be happy. I want you to be happy with the work. When you are happy with all of the documents, then I compile them all, because the IRS only allows you to attach 1 document to the Form 1023. So I merge all of your documents together into one, and I label them as supplemental responses, because that's what IRS calls them, supplemental responses. They don't call them attachments. So I label them the way the IRS labels them for you. Now, that's a lot of work, isn't it? That's a lot of work. How do I keep track of it? Well, let me tell you my tools that I use. I'm old school. I have no fancy software. This is how I keep track of my work. When someone hires me, I call it onboarding. I onboard them into my system. System means manual, okay? I have a literal notebook that I would create a page. I would write my client's name at the top. I would put a tab on the side, and I put their name on the side on the tab, so I can flip through and find my clients. Every time I send them a document, I put the day and the date. Monday, September the 2nd, I sent such and such document. In addition to that, I have a spreadsheet that I've created, a long 8.5 by 14 spreadsheet. I put clients' names across the top. And then, the timeline document that I said I sent to clients, I print that out, and then I write the dates in which all documents are due. I write when I'm supposed to do the EIN, when I'm supposed to do the articles, when I'm supposed to do the bylaws, and so on. Every date, every document has a date. And it has the word D, or the letter D above that field, meaning due date. And then I have another field with the letter A that says actual, because I'm not perfect. Sometimes I don't get it out, but I make it up. I never miss a deadline, if you will, because at the end of that long list is when I have a date when everything should be submitted to the IRS. I don't miss that one. I will work overtime not to miss that one, because if I promise you your application will be ready for submission on September the 30th, that's when it's going to be ready for submission, unless you miss your dates. I've had clients that miss their dates. I have clients that I have placed on hold for 2 years. They needed more time, they're not ready after they've started the process. But that's how I keep track. And then one more tool that I use is a to-do list or a task list. Every morning I write down, I go through my spreadsheet I was telling you about, and I write down what's due today for each client. Each client, what's due today. That's how I work. That's how I keep up. Because God has really blessed me in this business to be able to work with people from all over the United States. I think the last time I checked, I'm on state number 32. 32 out of 50 states, I've had the privilege of working with people. 32 out of 50 states. So I'm fortunate to be able to do that. I'm very blessed and I'm thankful. So let me go ahead and talk about the Form 1023, application for recognition of exemption. Sorry about that. I had a call. Sorry about that. But I want to talk about the Form 1023, application for recognition of exemption now. This is the long version, the standard version, which requires all of the attachments that I just explained. I've gotten all of that done. You've already approved it all. So now it's time to complete the Form 1023, application for recognition of exemption, the long version. Okay. Now, in September the 15th, 2023, the IRS implemented a two-step authentication process, and I'm sure you're used to seeing those, where you have to put in a code in order to access certain things. That created several additional steps that I have to complete with my clients in order to submit their application to the IRS. Okay? So what that means is I have to work with the client, teach them how to complete or create certain accounts to then provide me with the ability to access those accounts while on the phone with me, which requires us to create an appointment for us to get on the phone together, for me to get into their account, to even access the Form 1023 for them. Okay? So that's a process. That's several layers of additional work that I didn't have to complete before. Several layers of work that I didn't have to complete before. When I first started in 2010, I would complete the application packet and I would send it through the mail, snail mail, with tabs on where they needed to sign different things and instructions on how to mail the application to the IRS. In 2020, the IRS transitioned from the mail to the online platform called pay.gov. Well, from 2020 to 2023, all I needed to do was for the client to set up their pay.gov account and give me the access code to get in, and I could upload everything and say, okay, go out there and take a look at it. But now, like I said, we have to go through a lot of steps to even for me to get to the Form 1023. So I guide you through that. I guide you through those steps to get to the Form 1023, step by step. The first thing I do, when everything is finished, I say, okay, now it's time for me to complete the Form 1023. Here is a link for you with the steps to complete or create either an ID.me account or a login.gov account. That's the first step. I have step by step. This is how you do it. Let me know when you've done that. The client lets me know I've done it. I have my account. I said, okay, now next step. Reserve a phone appointment with me on my calendar. I send them the link to my calendar. I said, now the purpose of this call is for you to give me your credentials for me to access your account, your ID.me account or your login.gov account. They set up the appointment. We meet at the appointment. They provide the information and it links to the pay.gov because the pay.gov account stores the Form 1023 application. Okay? Finally, I am in their Form 1023, application for recognition of exemption, the long version, online. So then I tell the client, okay, I'm in. You could go on with your life for a minute. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna complete this entire application for you. Give me about 90 minutes. Then I will send you an email letting you know I'm finished. You can go in and take a look at how I answered the questions in the Form 1023. And also, they will be able to see the attachments in one document. Remember all of those attachments, the seven attachments are merged into one document. I've already attached them to the Form 1023. They can look at those again too if they want to. I also advise them. I mean, this is written instructions. I call it a quick reference guide. These are written instructions that you can print and follow on what I'm sharing with you now, how to get in and look at your Form 1023. Okay? I've already made a copy of the Form 1023 when I tell them it's ready. So if they go in and make changes, that's their prerogative, it's their application. But I won't be held responsible if they change something incorrectly. I also advise them to download the instructions for the Form 1023 so they can follow along with the Form 1023 because the instructions are numerical based on the numbers in the Form 1023. So you can make sure that you're happy and that I answer the questions accurately according to IRS instructions. Once they are satisfied with the Form 1023, then they will go ahead and process their payment. It's $600 for the long version of the Form 1023. $600, send it off, then the IRS, you will get a receipt with a code. The code indicates that you have processed it, the date that you submitted the payment, and the code that you will hold on to that indicates that you submitted it. And that's it. Now, the IRS requests 6 months to process an application. 6 months from the time you submit it. 6 months later, you should hear from the IRS regarding the status of your application. If you have something that you really want to get done and you would like to expedite the process, I can help you with that as well. I will walk you through the steps on how to expedite the application, and normally it cuts it down, the processing time, from 6 months to 3 months or less. I can help you with that as well. That's the process, everybody. One last thing that I want to share with you that I know no one else does. I am on call for you until you receive your determination letter saying that you've earned 501c3 status from the IRS. I'm on call because sometimes the IRS exemption specialist that's assigned to process your application, and it's only one. That's one thing I like about the IRS. You get one person. You just not passed around to different people. You get one person that's responsible for processing your application. Sometimes they'll send you what they call a first request letter, asking for additional information or clarifications. You don't have to worry about completing that. All you do is send it to me, and I'll respond on your behalf. I will write the response letter within the time frame because they only give you about 2 weeks to do it. I will write the response letter for you. That's why I'm on call. I'm with you until you get your letter. Guess what? I had one client, every time we'll send a response, the IRS will send another one. The IRS will send another request 4 times because they wanted to do work outside of the country. We finally got it done. But I had to do research on OFAC and all kinds of stuff in order to get them done, in order to get their application completed to the IRS satisfaction. And I didn't charge them not 1 penny extra. So now I've explained my process. Let me tell you why I don't use the Form 1023 EZ, and I'll let you go. Everything that I've explained to you, all of the documents and everything that I've shared, the first 2 documents are the only ones you need for the 1023 EZ. The other 5 documents, the bylaws, your activities document, financial data report, fundraising activities, and conflict of interest policy, you don't need to create those for the Form 1023 EZ. You just have to attest, you have to click the button on the online application that says you've done it, but you don't have to prove it. You don't have to attach them or anything. And the Form 1023 EZ is only $275, And it's only like 4 pages. So that's why thousands of people use that, because it's easier, quicker, and cheaper. So why don't I use it? Because it's easier, quicker, and cheaper. That's not the best thing for you. I want us to go through this meticulous process of me sending you documents up to 3 times to make sure they are written correctly for your nonprofit. I want you to have that comfort of knowing the IRS read your documents. And when you get your determination letter, which is your approval letter, you can take comfort in knowing they read them and they approved them. So therefore, you can do everything you said you was going to do for that after school program. You can order the laptops, you can order the iPads, you can get the whiteboard that you need. You can get all the supplies that you need, because it's in writing. In your activities document, you explain exactly what you wanted to do. In the financial data report, you explain how much money you need. In the fundraising activities document, you told them how you was going to get the money, and they've approved all of that. With the EZ, nobody's read anything. So the IRS exemption specialist just assumes, since you checked that you did this work, since you checked that you've done the 5 documents, you've done them correctly. Can't you see how that's a trap, in my opinion? Also, the people who do or use the Form 1023 EZ don't have a clear understanding of what they want to do, because they just check the boxes. They didn't do the work, they checked the boxes. Because they wanted their 501c3 status so badly and so quickly, they didn't take the time to really write the documents out. Because ultimately, what you can do with your application, once you get your determination letter, is use it as your guide, as your policies and procedures guide, or as your implementation guide, or whatever, because everything is laid out. You can just put it in a folder or put it in a binder or whatever you want to do, and say, okay, this is what we're doing, because the IRS has already approved it for us. Doesn't that make you feel more comfortable? Finally, the IRS admits, and this is a shame, but the IRS admits that the most audited nonprofit organizations are the ones that the administrators use the EZ to form. Again, I say that again. The IRS says itself that the most audited nonprofit organizations are the ones that use the Form 1023 EZ to apply for 501c3 status. My question is, why set people up for failure? Why do that? You know why? Because you don't need human interaction. You just let it flow through because you checked everything. Remember? Nobody has to click on anything or open and read anything. It just goes right on through. The $275 has been paid. Here you go. Here's your 501c3. I think it should be an asterisk beside that determination letter, in my personal opinion, because you didn't go through anything. You didn't write anything. I don't think you should have the same level of approval as someone who's gone through the fire to earn their 501c3 status. So that's why I won't do it, because I'm not going to set you up for failure. I won't accept that. I will not do that ever. And people say never. I'm saying never will I put a client in a position where they're going to be audited knowingly. I won't do that. I won't do it. My fee is $1,500 for everything that I've described. Do you think it's worth it? Do you think $1,500 is a fair price? Now, I know that starting a nonprofit organization to help people is a luxury in a way. It's not something that you need to do to survive. This is something that's in your heart, and it's probably been in your heart for years. You see a problem in your community and you want to solve it through a nonprofit. I get it, but I also understand that $1,500 is not a little bit of money. That's an investment in helping others. Isn't that nice? Think about it. If you've gotten this far in this video, you want to help people. Give yourself a round of applause. How many people see a problem in the community and don't do anything about it, but talk about it? You want to take action. You want to create a nonprofit to address the problems in the way that you think they should be addressed. That's what you want to do. I want to help you to the point where I will offer payment plan. I have a payment plan. I have a payment plan that you could take advantage of. Pay $750, half price, 50% of my fee. Pay that upfront as a non-refundable security deposit. Then I'm going to add $50 to your balance, because you have $750 balance. I'm going to add $50 to that for convenience, for a payment plan convenience fee. So that brings it to $800 that's due. I will allow you to make 2 payments of $400 each, or 4 payments of $200 each, based on your budget. Pay $750 down, security deposit. I'm going to add $50 to that as a convenience fee to bring your balance due to $800. You can choose to make 2 monthly payments once per month, 2 monthly payments of $400 each, or 4 monthly payments of $200 each. That's how much I want to help you. That's how much I want us to work together. Now, think about this. If I ask for 30 business days, which I do, to complete an application packet, I'm trusting you to pay me the balance. Because your application is already going to be long gone to the IRS, and I'm still going to be waiting on those 2 payments of $400 for 2 months, or waiting even longer for you to pay $200 per month for 4 months. I'm trusting you. Because what can I do? Call the IRS and say, take that application because they hadn't paid me? I want to work with you because I care about the communities. Like I said, I've helped over 400 people enhance their communities through nonprofit organizations, and I can provide the receipts, as they say, of my clients. I have a 100% approval rating because of what I hope you gained from this presentation. My passion about my work. I take pride in my work. I'm very methodical. I work hard for my clients because I care. I want to make a difference. I have never seen the majority of my clients. I've never seen a picture of them. I have no idea what they look like. But I know that I've touched people in Hawaii, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, New York, New Jersey, Oregon, and so many others. Like I said, I think about the 33 states. I take pride in knowing that I have helped people with after-school programs. I have helped people start transportation services for seniors on dialysis to go back and forth. I have helped people with vegetable gardens, community gardens, and vegetable community gardens. I have done that. I have helped single moms get shelter for them and their children. I have helped people to set up locations, tiny homes for veterans. So many different things I've helped people do. One special thing that I've helped the lady do that really is touched my heart, she works as an RN in a hospital. And she saw how people come in the bags, when they pick them up, they may be, sick or whatever, and they come in the bags, insulated bags, with a waterproof. They were just chucking them out. They were just throwing them away. And so she asked the hospital administrator if she could have them, because lo and behold, she was also a seamstress on the side. She loved to sew and make things. So she saw I can take those and refurbish those or repurpose those for people who are homeless. They're already waterproof. They're already insulated with a zipper. I can repurpose them, change them up, open them up, recreate them in some kind of way. And that's what she did. And do you know that concept took hold? And now she has a whole group of seamstresses who are doing this work for different hospitals. I take pride in knowing that I was a part of that. All the way in California. I've never been to California in my life. That's what I want to do for you. It's $1,500 up front or $750 non-refundable security deposit. Pay the balance when I add $50, $800 balance. 1 month, $400, second month, $400, or 4 months, $200 a month. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. The link to getting started with me is in the comments or in the description, however you're watching this video. Everything I've shared with you is in writing. I provide a contract. Whenever you're ready to move forward, I provide a contract for you to read everything I just shared, including the 3 times I do a draft for each document. I look forward to doing business with you. I'm Susan Woods of Susan Woods Nonprofit Solutions. My website is www.trustsusanwoods.com because you can. Thank you and have a great day.